We're representing 74 members of Congress in this unconstitutional power grab by the Biden administration, trying to tell your state you take a dime of stimulus money, you can't change your taxes at all if they're lowering. Doesn't say you can't raise your taxes, by the way. Classic Democrats, right? Raises your taxes as much as you like on everything. Just don't lower anything at all.
If you look at this list of members from the House and the Senate, you're going to see a lot of members who maybe even disagree with each other on other issues, Jordan, but this one is very fundamental, very strong show of support in the House and Senate. Thrilled to have all of them on board.
They have trust in the ACLJ's work that we sent along the brief. We asked if they're interested in signing it, and you get leadership of the U.S. Senate, leadership of the U.S. House, and some of the most well-known members of the House and the Senate as well.
States ought to be able to decide what they want to do. The federal government is trying to dominate this and dictate the outcome of that discussion in every state of the union, and that's unconstitutional. It's a violation of federalism. This is the United States of America, not the People's Republic of D.C.
There is a poison pill provision as part of the so-called American Rescue Plan Act, which prevents states from lowering their taxes directly or indirectly.
They weren't just looking for COVID stimulus. They were looking for control in Washington, D.C. So when you talk about checks and balances, both the executive branch and the legislative branch are in on this. But there is one final recourse. It's that third branch. That's why we filed this brief today. That's why we've added the members of Congress. And the one other thing I would say about this list of members of Congress, Jordan, literally dozens of them have engaged in the legislative process to start to unwind this if they do get control back of one of those chambers.
It's not just an overreach at the federal level. It's we want to control what the states can do. And we're not talking about taking the states to court. We're talking about limiting the state's ability to do that through law. And I will tell you as an attorney, the Supreme Court always looks very closely at when a law is passed that says but that a state is barred from doing something or must do something. They always take a look.
Think about as states come out of the pandemic, Jordan, if they want to try to help parents get better options for their students and they move towards school choice. They don't reduce income taxes, but maybe they offer tax credits for people who want to give scholarships to students. Jordan, for the next 4 years, not just this year, for the next 4 years, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen could look at a state that does that, try to help students and say, no, that has an indirect, that has a net effect of reducing tax revenue that indirectly offsets the money we gave you back in 2021 to respond to COVID. So we're actually going to pull that money back 3 years later. That's how breathtaking this is.
The court has said that the exercise of Congress's spending power must be in pursuit of what? The general welfare. Secondly, conditions on the receipt of federal funds must be unambiguous. Third, conditions must be related to the federal interest in what? A particular national project or program. And fourth, the legislation cannot induce the states to engage in activities that would be unconstitutional.
This is infuriating to people. They get really mad, not only when these massive stimulus get pushed through, but then on top of that, when they're told that your state elected officials that you elected have no power over your tax system at the local and state level.
There are people who are fleeing states like Illinois, California, New York, Connecticut that have high taxes, and they're fleeing to states like Florida, Tennessee, and Texas that don't have a state income tax, or other states, for example, Mississippi, which is debating about lowering taxes. And so people leave, and as they should, they have free will in America to go to a state where it is more tax advantageous to them. This is an attempt to stop that kind of freedom of movement in the states and to actually violate each individual state's sovereignty to set their own tax laws and their own policy.
You're hearing right now work of the ACLJ. This is not a discussion on policy. This is work. And later today up at aclj.org, you'll see the blog with the lawsuit, so you'll be able to read through it if you like. You'll see all the members of Congress that we represent. That'll be listed there as well at aclj.org.
Right now, the opportunity for recourse that we have is in the judiciary, and we're right on this one, Jordan. I mean, this is coercion. This is commandeering of state authority. So you've got to fight smart. You've got to know the law. You've got to know the facts, and then you've got to take it all across the country. And, Jordan, I suspect this will end up at the Supreme Court.
When you can't rely on just Congress to do their job and block legislation, we are ready to litigate.